meeting has ended by the
Yes,
host.
that's exactly what I got, and that's the first time ever that such
Nice.
a thing is happening.
So there might be some issues that were not threat modeled correctly.
I guess so. It's, this is as we talked at the beginning. It's like, yes, security pond. Yes, here we go. Exactly, because that's the first time ever. So we just ended on the slide.
Yeah, sure. I will
There's no
continue.
way.
No problem with that.
Yes.
Do you see it now?
Yes.
Great. So I was just talking about the example. Not sure if you heard it in a whole, but for example, imagine that you pretend to be like your boss, send an email to IT department asking for an access to some restricted payment file, for example. And then the question is, where would you put such attack, such risk? Would you put it into elevation of privilege? Well, kind of yes, because you got the access to restricted content. But that's also spoofing. Also yes. So if you during the threat modeling exercise will try to just be very specific and precise, you will just spend too much time on not that important things, and you will finally well agree that you just wasted an hour, and you think about the whole threat modeling exercise as a like waste of time. So don't do that. Okay, and now, as I said to you before, I will briefly go into the risk management stuff that's not like directly related to threat modeling, but it kind of covers the third part of threat modeling definition. That means how you deal with those threats you found during your like thinking exercises. So there are many strategies how to deal with risks, but I would mention just a few of those, the most common ones. So the first one is mitigation. So you could mitigate a risk by like improving the defense. Maybe adding some extra layer, extra check, extra firewall, something extra. In this way, like decreasing the probability that this issue will somehow bite you in the long term, or even like trying to create an environment for an attacker that won't be that easy to attack and that easy target that you wish that attacker wish to have. Another risk management strategy is transfer the risk. I'm not sure if that is really popular in Lithuania. I guess not, but I know that in the United States they use this strategy. The most common example here is that buy an insurance. Buy an insurance if like something goes wrong, you would pay like fines from that insurance or pay the users for their like inconvenience or something like that. This won't save your reputation for sure, but at least the mostly the financial side would be safe. Third strategy is to avoid the risk, even though this sounds kind of interestingly, but that's a really good strategy. And it's the only strategy that basically works all the time. This means that if you have some kind of sensitive data and you are thinking that this data could be stolen, so the avoid strategy would be just not to keep that data. If you have some functionality that is not so secure, so just throw it out. Basically, avoiding means that you drop the part which you seem to be like well vulnerable in one way or another. And the last, but definitely not least, is to accept the risk. And this strategy is kind of closely related to another very common strategy to deny or ignore the risk. And they relate because in both ways you basically do nothing. Just with the accept strategy, you do nothing because you do the research beforehand. You think about all the consequences, all the costs, and all the well, potential impacts that some kind of threat might cause you. And if you do if you deny the risk or ignore it, basically you don't do anything. You just think, well, that won't touch me. It's just something irrelevant, and that's it. So if this issue occurs, and if that's a serious issue, if you accepted it, it would be treated by some organizations as a completely valid risk management step, that you calculated everything, you calculated the cost, and you thought that, well, maybe it's not worth to do some kind of mitigation. But if you just simply ignored it, then even you could go into prosecution, and well, at least in some other countries, that would be personal prosecution for people who made that decision, not only the company responsibility. So always be careful with that deny and ignore strategy. And finally, even well, after so many slides, you think if the threat modeling is really worth it. So I would well, point you to the things going in the United States. And just last year, the NIST organization, which is the National Institute of Standards and Technologies in the United States, so they placed threat modeling first in 6 recommended technique classes for software verification. This was approved at the top level, meaning by presidential decree, etc., etc. So really big thing. And what it means, like in reality, for all of us, even is that all governmental institutions they need to do threat modeling by themselves. I guess from this year, if I'm right. And all the vendors that would wish to sell their products to American governmental institutions, and there are a lot of vendors who really wish to do that, they need to do threat modeling as well. So there is like a general agreement that such move would definitely push threat modeling into how to say, more popular ranks, and more companies would basically just do it because otherwise they would leave the game from the top companies game board. So this is it. Thank you very much for your attention. And for the last thing I would like to say is that, well, already our colleagues mentioned that today we became the second unicorn in Lithuania. That's a big achievement, but it's also a big responsibility for us. And for that, we definitely need more and more really bright-minded people. And please go to North Security Careers page. You will find many open positions there, not only technical ones, not only security ones, but you will find also an open position in my team. So if you saw that there is a like kind of interest in what we do in the threat modeling, in application security, so just apply it or just drop me a message. We could chat. I could give you maybe more information how we work, what we do. And well, you will see that the cybersecurity world is really interesting place to be, and North Security is one of the best places to be in Lithuania, as we really do the thing, not only just talk about it. So thank you very much. That's it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Žygimante, and thank you for truly the extensive presentation, and then even the practical things at the end of it, even leading to job openings for anyone who is looking for opportunities in this field. I do see amongst our participants some of our cybersecurity bootcamp participants who will be finishing the bootcamp this week or next week. And so I'm sure some of them will be looking at the job postings for sure. Well, I'm of course very sorry for like the technical unlogging. Not sure why this happened.
Might be hackers, might be
Yes,
hackers.
as someone commented, Antanas commented that we got security pawned. Well, maybe, but we managed to all be back, so that's good, and we finished up. Um, for anyone, if there are any comments, any questions, like this is the time to ask Žygimantas before we let him go. I think, Žygimantai, one thing I was very kind of intrigued by listening through your presentation and all of the um, various, ways to do threat modeling. Would you define this, your own work, having tons of creativity in it? To me, that sounded like usually IT, cybersecurity, career roles seem to be so dry, when you look from outside. It's like, well, it's all technical and so forth. But like when you were describing some of the ways to be looking and analyzing, I thought, well, actually, there is so much room for creativity in which angle you look at the different analysis. So I was just intrigued to ask you that question, especially more from the career angle, right? For anyone who is looking at roles, at similar roles of what you do.
Yeah, sure. So that's a very good question, and I would definitely say that it is a lot of creativity. And well, basically, it's a hard task for us a bit because when we kind of introduce new guys, some junior ones into our field, uh, it would be like very easy to give them like some sort of checklist just to follow, but that usually is enough for a first month only. And after the first month, you would need to turn on all the creative thinking you have. You could imagine that, well, evaluating a software like year by year even, you won't find the same issues over and over again. That would be like, it's, well, really inefficient and well, wrong in many ways. So you basically find the issue once, well, maybe twice, or the same repeated issue between the products, but then you also get the fixes for it, and you need to think about how to bypass those fixes, how to bypass some security measures. And it's not like just some coding or analyzing like really technical details. It also requires sometimes a really like, well, thinking like some sort of irregular user, like from the business perspective. So creativity is a must, and we, even when we do some kind of trainings, we try to push this side more, because you could learn all the technological stuff, you could learn how to code at least for the basic level, you could learn how to read some boring documents, which parts to skip, which not, but well, creative thinking is the key element. So I would say definitely it's not the boring part, as you said, regarding the cybersecurity. But yeah, for sure, creativity is the key element, I would say. Not only it is as an element, but the key one.
Yeah, well, that's what it sounded like. And I think it was even like, I mean, at the beginning, you just very briefly mentioned your own background, that you came into this career not necessarily directly from the IT field, right? That you
Yeah.
had your background in social sciences. And I really wanted to pick on that part because that is very much true for the cybersecurity bootcamp that LCC runs in partnership with Cyben, because that that boot camp is exactly for people regardless of their IT background, but going through the program allows them to enter the cybersecurity career field. So kind of you are also one of those examples, right? Where I assume that when you mentioned that you had your education in social sciences, but then eventually you switched on to the IT, and that led to your discovery and of your spot, which then you're saying that this is where you were happy for the switch.
Yeah, of course. And well, if you remember the part when I told about the different stakeholders that need to attend trade modeling sessions. So this is also true in the sense of cybersecurity teams as such. So every people with different backgrounds will have some sort of different view, even to the same problem, to the same system, to the same, well, same anything. So I see that as a benefit, really, one, and we always try to get that like a huge view to everything, and people from different backgrounds. Sure, there are, yeah, very valuable members of any team.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think your own personal career story can be an enlightenment for many, but also I think truly the opening of the curtain into the threat modeling world and showing how the process works and what are the different tools to be using. I think for many of us, for me myself, for sure, pasta now has a very different meaning. So that's no longer only thinking of the food, but thinking of all of the acronyms that are being now used in the cybersecurity world. So truly, thank you for your time. Thank you again to North Security, and congratulations on the achievement of all of your hard work. And that's where you got the acknowledgement now. And as you say, for sure, I'm sure that will lead many more challenges and more expectations kind of going that way. But I'm sure you guys are up for that. To our audience, I do want to say thank you for being with us. I hope that this was as much inspiring and educational as you were expecting it to be. Recordings are available of all of the webinars, so if you want to re-watch, re-listen, so you can find all of these recorded webinars on LCC International University's YouTube page. And then we still have two webinars planned ahead of us. So continue watching for updates for events on LCC's Facebook, or if you're on our mailing list, you will for sure get all of the updated information. So thank you, everyone. Žygimantui, biggest thanks to you for your work and for your time. And now let's go and enjoy Thursday evening.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.